to go. Yeah. Hi, everybody. So today in the help session, we will cover. We will first go over the environment setup very quickly, since I know all of you or most of you have already got this part done. And we will cover how to set up the VirtualBox, how to set up the environment on the VirtualBox, on Timberlake, or set up your own native toolchain. And then we will go over how to build and run your kernel. And we do a quick review of the booting up process, and then give you some tips about assignment 0. And then we could quickly overview all of the assignments. That will be assignment 0, 1, 2, 3. And we'll try to get all this done in the first 40 minutes. So we got, or half hour. So we left some time for you guys to ask questions, and we can help you out. And so, the VirtualBox stuff is basically the most easiest way to do the experiment for this OS project. And first of all, you need to install VirtualBox, of course. So go to this page and download the VirtualBox for your host machine, either Windows, Mac, or Linux. And then download the OVA appliance from opsclass.org. Here are two links. So the first link is a direct download link. So you click this, and your brother will download this OVA file to your local machine. And then the second is the torrent file. So you need to use some software like BitTorrent to download that. And note that some brothers may not be good at handling large files. So when you download the file, use a direct link. Make sure the downloaded file is good, is insane. And you can verify this by check the file size. It should be exactly this number of bytes. If it's not, then the download OVA file, OVA appliance is corrupted. You may not be able to import it correctly. Or you can check the MD5 sum of the file. It should be this value. And so before you go ahead and import the OVA appliance, make sure the file is good. There are several threads on the Piazza saying import error, file read error, something like that. They're because they downloaded the OVA file is corrupted. And then you just import the OVA appliance in VirtualBox. You can go to File, Import Appliance, and you are all set to go. So this is basically how to set up the toolchain in VirtualBox. Actually, the toolchain is set up for you inside of the VirtualBox. All you need to do is just to install VirtualBox, and you got all the toolchains. So, is everybody using VirtualBox here? Yeah?
I have a query. I couldn't really understand what do you mean by a toolchain? I don't really.
I'm sorry?
What exactly is a toolchain?
Toolchain means for example, 6161, the simulator. The command I use to actually run the kernel, and also the GDB. OS 161 GDB is the one used to debug your kernel. Normal systems in your laptop doesn't have all these tools. You need to install them. And if you download the VirtualBox, actually that OS is equipment with all those tools. But normally, it's not available in your Linux system or your Windows. Yes.
On the Piazza forum, I saw a number of people who mentioned different versions of toolchain.
Yes.
We're not supposed to make any changes to the one that's...
No,
okay.
no. So if you're using VirtualBox, you are all set to all good to go. You don't need to worry about the toolchain versions or the paths or anything like that. You just go ahead and start from the clone the repo part. So if you're using VirtualBox, you are all ready to go. So all those toolchain version stuff, that's for the guys who are crazy and want to set up that toolchain by themselves. Yeah. So this is the VirtualBox way. And the second way you can do is to log into Timberlake. We also got all the tools installed on Timberlake. So all you need to do is just log into Timberlake. And so by default, when you log into Timberlake, the shell environment you are using is C shell. It's kind of like a weird old shell. So you might want to change the shell to bash, which is more modern, more easy to use. And here's a command you can do that. This is just optional, just a personal test of the shell selection. And after you change the shell, you need to log out and log in again, and you are using bash. As Guru pointed out on the Piazza, you can know which shell are you using by cat the etc password file and grep your username. And so then you need to do is change your path. Basically, you first echo your path, just to print out what's the current value of the path. Make sure you have this YouTube/bin in it. You should have, if you by default, and then append this path to your path environment variable. It's basically /YouTube/OS161/bin. Here are other different ways to do it. You can do it using bash, which is the export command, or in the default CSH, which is a set path. Either way, you got the idea what do we need to do here. It's just to append this value to the path variable so the system know where the tools are. And another optional but highly recommended way is to just add this line to your shell configuration file. So every time you log in, the path is set up for you. You don't have to do export or set path every time you log in. Since nobody is actually logging to Timberlake, I guess everybody is fine with this. Okay. And then, yeah. Uh-huh. Yes, just a command line, no graphical interface, just a command line. Actually, through the whole process, if you are not using Eclipse, then you are all fine. If you want to use Eclipse, then don't use Timberlake, because Timberlake. Or you can use the VNC to log into Timberlake, get a graphical access, but that will be very slow. Yeah. So in this way, you basically get stuck with the text-based interface. Yeah. Any other questions? So we're good. Okay. And then a third option, which the option that very few people choose this, and this requires certain Linux expertise. So only do this if you install Linux on your laptop and you basically only use Linux, don't want to get started with Windows, and you know or you have installed how to install software by the source code. So you need to configure them, compile them, and install them to the proper location. And you may want to learn how the toolchain works, basically how the MIPS Harvard OS161 toolchains, where are they located, how gonna we invoke them, and you can learn all them by setting up your own toolchain. And instead of show you how to do that here, I just give you a few resources so you can refer to them when you want to do that. And so the first is the official guide from Harvard. Basically, it's kind of old, and some instructions may be outdated. So you may want to refer to this blog post, which is quite recent, and it's done on the Linux host machine. So actually, it's an Ubuntu distro, and most people should use that. Here's some instructions by one of our classmates on how to configure the toolchain on Mac machines. Anybody want to do this or got a plan? Just want to stay away with this? Okay. And so before we go any further, to make sure these commands output these strings on your environment, either on VirtualBox or on Timberlake. So here we use a which command to find out where to find all these tools. So basically, I list the 3 tools in this list, which is Git. We use Git to clone the repo, and sys161, which is a simulator, and also bmac, which is a make command. And so on VirtualBox, it should output all this. You don't have to set up anything. It should just work. And on Timberlake, if you set your path correctly, it should output this. Otherwise, you need to go back to the path setting part and make sure you set up the path properly. So let's do a quick demo about this. And so I got my VirtualBox here. Where is my VirtualBox? Okay. So here I'm on the home directory. You can see that I'm on home Trinity, and which git should be user bin git, which 6161. It should be home Trinity OS 1612's bin 6161, and which bin Mac, it should be this, right? So before you go ahead and clone the repo, make sure all this command works and as expected. And also we can show how to so I open a terminal on my local machine and I log into Timberlake. And I'm using bash. You can do that by cat etc password and grab my username. So I'm using bin bash, and my current path is this. So I configure my local bin, my binary, my home machine. So I have YouTube bin here, and I don't have YouTube OS 161 choose bin. So I'm going to edit. Yeah.
We studied pipe today, and Professor Chalan, he actually mentioned this thing that, you know, if in a command, if you use pipe sign, is it actually that the command that's before the pipe sign is actually sending data down to grid?
Yes, I think so. So this cat command actually just print out the content of that file.
Okay.
So you got a line by line content, and that file or at a string will be as input of the grab command. So this is a pipe. So I grab this string out of all that file content, and I got this line. So that's the pipe they mentioned today. Yeah. And export path equals to original path append to util OS 161 choose binary. So now if I do echo path, see this string here. So the difference between these two values are just I append the OS 162 change path. Now I can do which git should be, yeah, I use my own git, but you should use the YouTube bin git. There's a YouTube bin git here. And what?
What does LL do?
LS basic list.
No, LL is?
LL is the alias of ls-al.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an alias. You can see that by my LL equals to, actually this is the system alias, I think, but I got this all these aliases. So which, sorry, 161 is in this directory, and which OS 161 GDB is also in this directory. So before you go any further, make sure all these command output the strings we expected. Now go back to the So everybody is fine with this? Everybody got it? Okay. And then after you set up your toolchain, you want to go ahead and clone the source repo. But before you do that, make sure you register on this website using your Buffalo email and upload your SSH keys correctly. Yeah.
Is there any script which runs every time batch starts so that we can put our array access and
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I forgot to demo that part. I mentioned it in the slides. So if we log out and log in again, if I do an echo pass, you can see that that's util OS1 stuff is gone, right? So we can vi my bash rc, go to last line. Actually, I have this. So add this line to a .bash rc, export path equals to path plus that directory, save it, and log out, log in again, echo path is there. So you don't have to export path every time. Good question. And yeah. So this part concerning generate your SSH keys, there are some instructions on this profile keys on the website. So two things to note here. So first, you want to make sure you copy the exact content of that public key file to the text box in the website, because some people may copy extra white spaces or some weird characters. Don't do that. So make sure you copy that exact content, and also this private key and public key files should be in your home /.ssh directory. So some people claim that they have corrected the key correctly, but still cannot clone. That's because the key are not in the right place. So move the keys to that, or by default, they should be there if you didn't do something naughty. And so now we clone the repo. Before do that, you need to decide your working directory. If you're using VirtualBox, you may just use the home directory as your working directory. That's a default option. Or if you're using Timberlake, you want to create a separate directory just for this experiment, right? So you don't want to upload all those stuff to your home directories. So in my case, I choose /courses cx241. In this case, you may want to create another directory. And once you decide your working directory, you just first go to that directory and clone the repo. So what this command does is just grab all those source code from the opsclass.org website and save it locally in the src directory. So go back to VirtualBox. I just use my home directory as working directory and git clone as src. Oh, by the way, I have already set up my keys, so I can do clone. Yeah. And now we have a src folder. We can see it into src. We can see all the code, right? Here's how to clone the code in VirtualBox. And sorry, I need to get out of VirtualBox. Yeah.
In the project documentation that was that's given on the side, there should also be another directory in there that should be called tools.
Yes, I'll get to that.
I can find,
I will get to that. So right now, we just clone the source repository. If you don't do anything, you don't have a root. The root is created by you, actually.
Not the root, but there should be another directory that's called tools.
Tools. Oh, it's there. It's in OS 161 tools.
Okay.
So we have all those binary stuff. You don't need to worry about this, actually. This is all set up for you. Yeah?
Is the performance of the OS 161 is going to be ever requiring too much of memory or something, so that we better go with timberlake? Because I only have 2 GB of RAM.
No, actually. So you can assign certain amount of memory to VirtualBox. that will, by default is 520 megabytes, and that's it. That's what the VirtualBox is gonna use.
It's enough for the whole of the project. It's never going to increase once we start implementing more things. I mean, the requirement is 520 enough for the project.
No, actually OS 161 is pretty tiny. It won't. I would say it requires 10 megabytes top of memory, so you are good, right? And so let's go to Timberlake. No, I need to. How to get out of here? Okay. So I go to my working directory, which will be cos CSE 520. I'm a graduate, so I took 521. And there's nothing here yet, so we do the git clone. src.ops /61. Yeah, I forgot clone. Yeah. It's a bit slow. And yeah. So I got an SRC folder in my working directory and cd into that. I see the same content. Yeah. So next, you might want to go ahead and build. So the compilation is in two phases. The first phase is you just need to do this once, is to compile the user space tools. So you first change it into your working directory, SRC, and then do the configuration. So in VirtualBox, because you are all using the default option, you can just do configure, and you are fine. But if you are on Timberlake, you may want to specify what the output directory is for all those tools. Here, I use the --os tree option so I want to create the root directory in parallel with the SRC, not inside SRC, but outside SRC. And then you go ahead and compile the user space tools and install them. So after this step, you should see a root directory in your working directory, and you should also see all those directories inside that root. So let's get to VirtualBox. And I cd into SRC, do configure, nothing special, and bmake install. So this bmake command will compile all those sources, and bmake install will copy all those binary files to the root directory. It takes less than 1 minute. Should be quite okay. So actually, at the same time, let's do it on the Timberlake. So I do configure. At this time, you don't want to just do configure, because if you do that, it will create a root in your home directory, which you don't want. And so os tree equals to current directory, go to parent, go to root. And I do bmake install. So let's install, and let's check back to VirtualBox. So we are done here. And we go to home directory, we should see a root here. And inside this root, you should see all those directories. These are basically the checkpoints you want to make sure. And back to Timberlake, it's still compiling. It's slower than VirtualBox, actually. Okay, we're almost done. And I will say this again, you only need to do this once for all the assignments. Okay, so let's go to my working directory. I see 2 folders, one SRC, one root. Go to root, and you should see all those files. Okay. Any questions so far? So we are good. And then you want to go ahead and build a kernel. So this time, cd into SRC. Note that we configure the kernel in this directory, not in the SRC. So configure it for assignment 0. So what this command does is, so configure is a script, and it will read the configuration file called assignment 0, and this file contains all the operations for these assignments. And this configure tool will generate the make file that we're going to use. So there is actually a code reading question towards about this step. That question is asking you, what's the option we use in assignment 0 for the virtual memory system? That's where you find the answers. And then you need to go to the compile assignment 0 directory, do bmake, and install the kernel. So at this point, there should be no errors at all because you haven't done anything yet. So you should see 2 extra files in the root directory, which is the kernel-assignment 0, and another symbolic link to the kernel file. So let's go to VirtualBox, go to SRC, go to kernel configure. We can see that, so we have a configure script, which is the command we will use, and we also have various of configuration files. So we do configure for assignment 0, pretty quick, and we go to compile assignment 0. All those files is generated by configure. You can see the timestamp. It's all generated just now. And we do bmake depend, bmake and bmake install. Okay, so then we go to root. We should see 2 extra files here. That's a kernel file. There's a symbolic link to that kernel file. And on Timberlake is pretty much the same. So we go to SRC, go to kernel configure for assignment 0, and go to compile assignment 0, bmake, depend, bmake, and bmake install. It's pretty much the same. I'll skip this. So next step, you can go ahead and run your kernel. This step is pretty much the simplest one, with only one trick, is that you need to copy the configuration files of the 161 simulator. So in VirtualBox, that file is in this location, and it's a location is on Timberlake. And after you have copied the file, you can just go ahead and run the kernel. So right now we don't have the configuration files. We cp it from OS 161 to share example and example, actually sample. So copy it to current directory named conf. So we have the configuration files. Let's take a look at the configuration files, what's inside it. So basically with a lot of comments, let's go to all those member stuff, how many memory you will use. Actually, by default, the simulator will only use about 500 kilobytes of memory with only one CPU. You can change how many CPUs you want, how many memory you allocate, all that. And I believe there's another code reading questions asking what buses this simulator support. I can't remember exactly, but this is probably the place you will find the answers, or not. I don't. This is probably the place. And so now we have the configuration file. Let's run the kernel. So you should see this. So first, the kernel will print out a line that's saying that I put your group name here. This basically will be the coding assignment of assignment 0. So you need to change the code so that the kernel actually prints out your group name or one of your groups, one of the members' UB email address in that line. And you have a small shell you can use question mark for help. You can help various command, test command, all that. Q to exit. Any questions on this? Okay. And on Timberlake, so let's go to class cd root. There is no configuration files here. Let's copy it from the public place called use tools share examples, all that 6161.conf. Now we have the configuration file, so we go ahead and run it. All the same. So now let's take a closer look at what happens when you actually run the 161 kernel command. So let's go to the source file directory and try to identify the line that prints out the put your group name here stuff. So the ops-class.org have detailed instructions on what each directory does. And so the kernel file has a main entry point, which is like the main function in your C code normally. And that function is inside the kernel startup. And you see the familiar main.c, right? So go to that file, find main function here. So actually it's kman for kernel main function. First we call boot to boot up, then we call manual to actually enter the interactive shell. So let's go to boot. Here. So we first print out the system version, and here we print out this line. You should definitely change this in the assignments. And we initialize the components, the RAM, thread, halog, VFS, stuff, all that. And there is one code reading question asking what will happen if the system is equipped with more than 512 megabytes of memory. You can figure out a way to find that. That's basically decided when we initialize the RAM subsystem, right? So basically, after we complete boot and initialize all the subcomponents, we go to manual. Actually, it's in another C file called manual.c. Basically, we just loop around and got the input and execute that command. So here are some tips about assignment 0. Basically, we got 21 code reading questions. That's 3 points each. That's, to sum up, is 63 points. We have 3 TypeScript patches with GDB, Git, and configure run script. Actually, I have just done the configure run part for you. You can repeat the process. And one code patches. For the code reading questions, each question comes up with some hint above it. That's basically point out which file to look at when you try to answer that question. And you can find most of the answers directly from in the comment. So don't overthink it. Those questions are not meant to be tricky. You need to knock your head to the wall several times to find out the answer. No, just I would say 9 out of 10 you can find the answers in the comment. And for the TypeScript part, you need to read the tutorials on the Ops class very carefully. They have Git and GDB. You may also want to find the tutorials online to get the usage of the command. And one last tip is you really need to read the instructions carefully on how to produce the TypeScript. One example that's also on Piazza is that some people just did the git diff part and claim that AutoGuide doesn't give him credit for that. The problem is that he just used git diff, and git diff will actually pipe the output to another program called Pager, but AutoGuide doesn't like it. So if you want to submit the patches for the AutoGuide, you need to actually disable the Pager. Use git -- no Pager diff, so that you can get the credit. That's stated very clearly in the instructions. And for all the assignments, that's basically, I will give you an overview of the workload of each assignment. So assignment 0 is the most easiest one, just to warm you up. And you really want to get it done before this week. So you don't want to spend too much time just warming up. And so the first assignment is, the second, actually assignment 1 is synchronization primitives. And some of the synchronization problems can be tricky, but I would say it's quite straightforward. And it shouldn't take you more than 2 weeks. So you want to finish it in the next 2 weeks for assignment 1. And assignment 2 is actually the first challenge assignment, and it's quite formal. They have code reading questions as usual, and they have the design document. You need to write a 2-page design document, clearly state what you want to do for this assignment. And I would say from experience, you need at least 2 weeks for the assignment. So basically, we got a whole deadline, which is March 13th for all the assignments, but you really want to secure more than 2 weeks for assignment 2. And after that, after spring break, we have a final assignment. It's really hard, and it's really meant to kill you guys. And so, but fortunately, you get enough time, about 2 months. That's 8 weeks. So, from the time we give you, you can imagine how hard that assignment is. So get started earlier. Don't wait till the last week to start assignment 3. You also need to write design document for that. So one general tip for all the assignments is to just start earlier. You really want to start from like last week or last month instead of next week. And so that's pretty much what we got for today. Any questions so far?
Will this slide be available on the Piazza?
What?
Will this slides will be available on?
It will be after Friday, because I use the slides for Friday's recitation. So after Friday, it will be on Piazza. So you don't have to take the notes of the MD5 checksum or something. Yeah.
The video would be uploaded earlier.
I'm sorry?
This video would be uploaded earlier.
I think so. Yeah. We'll upload that, right? Yeah. So I think we got a room before 5, so we can hang around and help you guys if you have any specific questions. That's pretty much it for today. Thank you.